there are a lot of twists and turns, which keeps the story moving along at a swift pace.
Just what you've been waiting for. Movies, TV, music, and more. Follow, subscribe, stay up to date. Episodes drop every other Monday. It's the man, watch that. It's the man, watch that. It's the man, watch that podcast.
Welcome, everyone, to the Matt Watch That podcast, the place for reviews, rants, and randomness. I'm your host, Matt Seroski, filmmaker, film fan. Each episode, I'm going to watch a movie or TV pilot that I probably should have seen but never got around to. It could be a recent favorite, critic's choice, or cult classic. To join in on the conversation, follow me on Twitter, Instagram, and Facebook, at Matt Seroski. You can subscribe to my YouTube page, or I'll post videos and clips from the show. If you have any opinions on what I've discussed or suggestions as to what I should see next, use the hashtag MattWatchThat on social. Before we start, I was watching the trailer for Lift, the action crime comedy starring Kevin Hart, and it used a piece of music that appears in every single heist film. You'd know it when you hear it. Green Onions by Booker T and the MGs. It's an instrumental, recorded in 1962, that features an unmistakable riff on the Hammond M3 organ. It was largely improvised in the studio by Booker T. Jones, Stephen Cropper, Louis Steinberg, and Al Jackson Jr. They originally formed as the house band for Stax Records, playing on hit singles by Aretha Franklin, Wilson Pickett, the Staple Singers, and Otis Redding. Unique for the time, they were an interracial band, with 2 black members and 2 white members, who seamlessly mixed elements of rock and soul. The single peaked at number 3 on the Billboard Hot 100. It's also been featured in the movies Quadrophenia, The Sandlot, American Graffiti, and Happy Gilmore. In 1965, Steinberg would leave the group and was replaced by Donald Duck Dunn on bass. Drummer Jackson Jr. was murdered in his home by an intruder in 1975. Jones, Cropper, and Dunn reunited soon after and toured with a variety of drummers through 2012. They released 13 albums between 1962 and 1994. They were inducted into the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame in 1992, the Musicians Hall of Fame and Museum in 2008, and the Memphis Music Hall of Fame in 2012. Since this week's watch is a heist movie, I thought it was apropos to include this tune in the Matt Watch That playback playlist. On to the main attraction. Each review will end with a ranking out of 5 stars. 1 star is skip it, 2 stars watch at your own risk, 3 stars standard fare, 4 stars worth checking out, and 5 stars must see. Now, if I give a title 5 stars, it doesn't mean I'm comparing it to Casablanca, Jaws, or Seinfeld. I rank titles based on other movies or TV series in that genre and at that time period. On this episode of the podcast, I'll be reviewing Focus from 2015. It was directed by Glenn Ficarra and John Requa, who helmed biographical comedy I Love You, Philip Morris, romantic comedy Crazy Stupid Love, and war comedy Whiskey Tango Foxtrot. They've been nominated for 4 Primetime Emmy Awards as producers on Outstanding Drama Series This Is Us. The screenplay was co-written by the directors who scribed family comedy Cats and Dogs, holiday classic Bad Santa, and baseball remake Bad News Bears. It stars Will Smith as Nicky Spurgeon. In West Philadelphia, born and raised, on a playground was where he spent most of his days. In 1985, he teamed up with his childhood friend, Jeffrey Towns, forming DJ Jazzy Jeff and the Fresh Prince. They were signed to an independent label before garnering the attention of Russell Simmons of Jive Records. Their first album, He's the DJ, I'm the Rapper, featured the single Parents Just Don't Understand, which peaked at number 12 on the US Billboard Hot 100. It would win a Grammy Award for Best Rap Performance in 1989. A year later, Smith would star in the sitcom The Fresh Prince of Bel-Air, which would run for 6 seasons, 148 episodes. His breakthrough on the big screen would be in 6 Degrees of Separation in 1993. He became a star as the lead in Bad Boys alongside Martin Lawrence. This would lead to roles in Independence Day, Men in Black, and Enemy of the State. He won an Academy Award for Best Actor in the biopic King Richard, which was slightly overshadowed at the ceremony. He also has a Golden Globe, SAG Award, and 4 Grammys. Margot Robbie portrays Jess Barrett. I did a career retrospective in Season 2, Episode 27 of the Matt Watch That podcast when I reviewed I, Tonya, so check that out. But that was before the blockbuster that was Barbie, which earned $1.4 billion at the box office and was nominated for 8 Academy Awards, winning for Best Achievement in Music Written for Motion Pictures, Original Song for What Was I Made For. She was a producer on 2 films directed by Emerald Fennell, the crime thriller Promising Young Woman, and the controversial Saltburn. She's currently developing a remake of the cult classic, Tank Girl, and an adaptation of the popular video game, The Sims. Smith and Robbie would reunite a year later for Suicide Squad. This is something to look out for. The team that's playing during the football game are the Miami Sharks, which is an homage to the film Any Given Sunday. So let's jump into it. Nicky Spurgeon, known as Mello to his friends, is a smooth-talking, charming con man who comes from generations of scam artists. His grandfather ran a crooked game in Harlem. His father joined in, shilling for him, until a busted ploy forced them to turn on each other. One fateful night, Nicky is eating at an expensive restaurant when he's approached at his table by Jess Barrett, an attractive blonde who asks him to pose as her husband to fend off a drunk suitor. After not-so-subtle flirtation, they end up in her hotel room. Her husband barges in with a gun in hand. Nicky is immediately suspicious and recognizes a bad con when he sees one. He goads on the man to shoot him, until they give up on the lie. Despite this, Nicky is intrigued by the novice scam artist. Jess Barrett is a bit of a drifter. She never had much of a future and has been dabbling in sleight-of-hand swindling. While he gives her some tips of the trade, he refuses to take her on as an apprentice. When she follows him to New Orleans, he introduces her to the crew, and they put her through a pickpocketing initiation test. After she passes with flying colors, Nicky agrees to take Jess under his wing. Here's a quote without context. "There's 2 kinds of people in this world. There's hammers and there's nails. You decide which one you want to be." Focus is a slickly produced film. There are a lot of twists and turns, which keeps the story moving along at a swift pace. The attractiveness of the stars is matched by the attractiveness of the locations. Will Smith and Margot Robbie have great chemistry. It's apparent from the first moment they appear on screen together. There's a nice rapport between the characters, and the actors have a firm grasp of who they are, between Smith's cooler-than-ice persona and Robbie's naive determination and eagerness. They're also convincing with their sleight-of-hand trickery. I wouldn't say it's a flawless movie, but for the genre, I think it's quite effective. The directors and cinematographer captured the best of its stars, the action, and environments. Now for a little trivial trivia. It was originally set to star Ryan Gosling and Emma Stone, which would have reunited them with the writers-directors of Crazy Stupid Love. Focus was produced by Denise DeNova, responsible for Heathers, Edward Scissorhands, Batman Returns, and Little Women. It was filmed in Buenos Aires, Argentina, New Orleans, Louisiana, Las Vegas, Nevada, and New York City, New York. The cinematography was captured by Xavier Grobet, whose filmography includes wrestling comedy Nacho Libre, romantic comedies The Backup Plan and What to Expect When You're Expecting, and was nominated for a Primetime Emmy Award for Outstanding Cinematography for a Limited Series or Movie for Watchmen. It was edited by Jan Kovac, who worked on thriller Don't Breathe 2, horror Pet Sematary Bloodlines, and action series Rabbit Hole. It was the first major studio production that was edited on Final Cut Pro X, or at least the first one to admit to it. The score was composed by Nick Urata, who wrote the music for dramedy The Joneses, family film Paddington, and comedy series Animal Control. The soundtrack featured songs by Little Rascals Brass Band, Stooges Brass Band, Zombie Nation, and the Rolling Stones. The runtime is 1 hour 45 minutes. It had a budget of $50 million and grossed $158 million at the box office. On the Ski Index, I give it 4 out of 5 stars. If you've seen Focus and have opinions on the movie, let me know what you think using the hashtag Matt Watch That.
Dun.
Moving right along, each episode, I'm going to post clips that I think people should watch. It could be movie trailers, music videos, interviews, or something completely random. Search for my YouTube page and there will be a playlist called Matt Watch That Playback. Letters Live is a series of staged readings where celebrities recite correspondence in front of an audience. The writers can be famous people, historical figures, or average Joes. They are often inspirational, impassioned, but many are funny. It was inspired by bestseller Letters of Note by Sean Usher and journalist Simon Garfield's To the Letter, A Curious History of Correspondence. The live event was first produced in 2013 by publishing house Canongate and Benedict Cumberbatch's company, Sunny March, who was also featured as one of the readers alongside actress Gillian Anderson and author Neil Gaiman. The proceeds went to the UK charity, The Reading Agency. Over the years, performers have included Golden Globe nominee Stephen Fry, Emmy winners Edie Falco and Brian Cox, Oscar nominees Ian McKellen and Lawrence Fishburne, and Oscar winner Ben Kingsley, who famously read a letter from Mahatma Gandhi to Adolf Hitler. Some of the videos have been posted online, and I've selected a couple of my favorites. The first is by Olivia Colman, whom I've enjoyed since the Mitchell and Webb Situation, a sketch show in Britain, and predecessor to that Mitchell and Webb look. But to me, she really came into her own on Broadchurch, which, in my opinion, has the best first season. Second and third, tolerable. She reads a letter from a wife to her husband, only as she can. Then Benedict Cumberbatch reads a letter of apology from a guest at a hotel to the hotel manager. And last, director Taika Waititi reads a letter about a speeding ticket. They're all available in the Matt Watch That Playback playlist on YouTube. Check it out. Now it's time for the recommendation. Yes, that's the word recommendation with Matt in the middle. I'm going to end each podcast with my own recommendation of a movie or TV series. Today I'm talking about Glitch, The Rise and Fall of HQ Trivia. The documentary was directed by Salima Koroma and tells the story of the popular app that came to prominence in fall 2017, where people could participate in daily trivia games live and potentially win prizes. A host would navigate through 12 multiple-choice questions that players had 10 seconds to decide and answer. A correct response would take you to the next round. A wrong answer would eliminate you from the competition. If you make it to the finals, you get a share of the cash pot, and depending on how many remain, it could be anywhere from a few cents to the cost of a Starbucks drink. At the peak of its popularity, over 2.3 million people were logged on to HQ Trivia at 3 p.m. and 9 p.m. for their daily fix. It was an interactive experience where you could monitor how many people were playing along. It became such a phenomenon that coworkers would log on together in the hopes of walking away with prizes. It was the brainchild of business partners Russ Yusupov and Colin Kroll, who co-founded video clip service Vine. But like its predecessor, HQ Trivia fizzled out by February 2020 due to a combination of infighting, technical glitches, and lack of funding. It returned briefly, but was unable to capture the magic or the audience from its initial run. Glitch, The Rise and Fall of HQ Trivia, was produced by CNN Films and is currently streaming on Max. That's all for this edition of Matt Watch That. Thanks for listening to me babble. You can follow me on Twitter, Instagram, and Facebook at Matt Seroski. You can subscribe to my YouTube page where I'll post videos and clips from the show. If you have any opinions on what I've discussed or suggestions as to what movie or TV pilot I should see, use the hashtag MattWatchThat on social. Head over to mattseroski.com for all the latest news and updates, and come back next time for the reviews, rants, and randomness. And Benedict Cumberbatch's company, Sunny March, who was also featured as one of the readers alongside actress Gillian Murphy. Who's Gillian Murphy? It was edited by Jan Kovac, who worked on thriller Don't Breathe 2, horror Pet Sematary Bloodlines, and action series Robocop. It's Rabbit Hole. Not even close. It was directed by John Ficarra. I just combined their names. I was watching the trailer for Lift, the action crime comedy starring Kevin Nichols. Kevin Nichols? Who the hell is that?